They're sharp, they're shiny, they can be a little intimidating if you don't know how to use them properly. So today I'm digging into all things knife skills. I feel like I always see people with these giant knife blocks on their counters with like 20 different knives, and they're all usually really dull and they don't know which one to use, so they just order pizza instead. So I'm going to tell you the 3 essential knives you need in your arsenal. So the first and most important is a chef's knife. So usually they're 8 or 10 inches, and it's really up to you to find the brand that you like the best by going to like a Sur La Table or Williams Sonoma, and they'll help you try out the different knives. My favorite brand is Victorinox. They're the same guys who make Swiss Army knives, and these chef's knives are really sharp, they're light, and they run you about 50 bucks. Next up, you need a long serrated knife, which is really nice for cutting into like a crusty loaf of bread or a tomato. Really nice to have. And then just a small paring knife is great for small jobs like topping a strawberry or getting a peel off of garlic. So a sharp knife is a safe knife, so I'm going to talk about the difference between sharpening and honing. So sharpening is what you do when you get your knife professionally sharpened, where they actually cut you a new blade. So it's like the equivalent of getting a haircut. You don't want to do that too often or else you won't have a knife left. Versus honing is where you're actually pushing the bits of steel on the blade in the same direction, which keeps it nice and sharp, like this. You want your knife at about a 20-degree angle on the honing steel when you do this. You can also have your honing steel like this if you prefer. Though, to be honest, I don't really like this tool, and when I teach classes, people are a little intimidated by the steel, so I actually really recommend this, which is called an AccuSharp. It's about $8 on Amazon. All you do is have your knife with the blade up, and you pass it over the blade maybe 4 or 5 times, and it keeps it nice and sharp. You do want to make sure that you wipe the blade with a towel, just so that any bits of steel don't get in your food. Alright, so now you know the 3 different knives that you need in your arsenal, how to keep them sharp, so now you need to know how to hold it. So what you want to do is actually, with your index finger, it wants to go in front of the handle and actually touching the blade. And then with your thumb, it's also going to be touching the blade. So if there was a hole right here, your thumb and your index finger would actually be touching. And then your other fingers wrap around. A lot of people make the mistake of putting their finger out here, which kind of limits your range of motion. Or they hold it back here, which doesn't give you much control. So when you hold it like this, it really becomes an extension of your arm. Alright, so I'm going to teach you a basic chopping technique called the rock chop. So the first thing is you want to make sure with your opposite hand you make a claw, and you just, instead of having your precious little fingers out, you just kind of tuck them under like this. And then I like to think about, with the tip of my knife is kind of like my toe pointing out like a ballerina. And the motion you want to do is pushing down and forward, and then you pull up and back. Down and forward, up and back. So it's nice, soft rocking. And it's in that down and forward motion that you really want to be chopping whatever it is. And you also want to make sure that when you're chopping, you're using this back part of your knife, not up here, because there's no power up here. It's all going to be right here in the back. So now you know your knife skills basics, so get in your kitchen and start practicing.